Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
That in this country, our jewelry stores all over this country are more important than our children. Our banks, our airports, our NBA games, our NFL games, our office buildings, our movie stars, our politicians. They're all more protected than our children at school.
I want my schools protected, just like my banks are protected, just like everything else.
We surround and protect so much with armed security while we drop our kids off at school that are so-called gun-free zones that are wide open targets for any crazy madman bent on evil to come there first.
A gun-free zone to a killer or somebody that wants to be a killer, that's like going in for the ice cream. That's like, here I am, take me. We have to get smart on gun-free zones. When they see it says, this is a gun-free zone, they live for gun-free zones. No, nothing, it's gun-free. Boy, that's what they want to hear.
They all must come together to implement the very best strategy to harden their schools. Schools must be the most hardened targets in this country.
We have to harden our schools, not soften them up. You have now made the school into a hardened target. And I want a hardened school too. But I think we need hardened sites. So we have to harden our sites. But I'll tell you what, I spoke with the NRA at the top people, and they're ready to do things. They want to do things. You know, they're good people. They're patriots. They love this country. But the NRA is ready to do things.
They're ready to do stuff and things. I mean, it's like listening to Wayne LaPierre and then listening to Donald Trump side by side. It's like Jinx. Do you know what I mean? Like, you ever say something at the same time your friend says it, and you say, you owe me a Coke, or you say Jinx, or you say, gotcha, good luck? Yeah, that's what it's like. Because they're putting the words in that bad man's mouth. Why does a good guy have a gun? Why can't we just say, oh, hi, everybody, we're live. Just want to say it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, 2/27/18. 2/27/18. Tomorrow will be the last day of the short month of February. But why does a good guy have a gun? Why can't we just say if you have a gun, you're not a good guy? You're a bad guy. You're a bad man. I mean, this is just incredible. And I will tell you, Congress is back on Capitol Hill. And absolutely nothing is going to change. You could already tell this morning. You could just, see. And Trump's already walked away from raising the age to 21 for an assault weapon. It's like, Dana Loesch told him, but when I was 20, I wanted an Uzi. Oh, my God. So, nothing's going to change. Absolutely nothing. Not this time around. No. We're going to have to go through this again and again and again and again. But the best thing ever was who would save you next time? Who?
I got to watch some deputy sheriffs performing this weekend. They weren't exactly Medal of Honor winners. All right? The way they performed was, frankly, disgusting.
You're disgusting.
They were listening to what was going on. The one in particular, he was early. Then you had three others that probably a similar deal a little bit later, but a similar kind of a thing. I really believe, you don't know until you test it, but I think I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too, because I know most of you. But the way they performed was really a disgrace.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I would rather be rescued by Wayne LaPierre than I would by Donald Trump, because at least there's a chance that the gunman might stop to shake Wayne LaPierre's hand. Maybe there'd be a pause in the shooting, so some unarmed guy could tackle him. Oh, really? Cadet Bone Spurs is going to be, listen, they gave him a chance to actually have a gun, to after military themed prep school. Remember? He was trained in the art of themed military. Themed, like wearing uniforms. But I mean, honestly, he ran away from Vietnam so fast, he probably trampled Dick Cheney on the way out the door. Oh, I love these chicken hawks. I love how they say how brave they are. Did you see he wouldn't even share an umbrella with his son and his wife? He wouldn't even share an umbrella. Did you see?
At first, he seems to be alone in the rain. But then, his 11-year-old son appears behind him. The son he left behind in the rain because protecting his hair is more important than protecting his son. He also left his third and current wife behind him in the rain. She's used to that. She handled it the way she always does, as if she and Donald Trump are just two strangers boarding the same airplane.
I mean, he literally saved his own scalp. He literally did that right there in that video. You really think this guy would have ran into, a man who won't even share his umbrella? I mean, honest to God, this is just so unbelievable. But, he just keeps repeating the NRA talking points and, not sharing his umbrella, and talking about stupid ideas like arming adept teachers. That's going to be his solution now. Just arming the adept. Only the adept.
We have to have people trained. We have to, you have to have some kind of a budget where it works. When many of the governors happen to, like the idea of trained people within schools, but the press has to get the word out honestly. For instance, I went through a very detailed, it could be 10%, could be 5%, could be 20%. These are really gun-adept people.
Adept.
Very few people would qualify. On top of being gun-adept, they have to go to school and they have to learn, and maybe there'll be a bonus given to those people, and maybe there should be, frankly, because they should go on a yearly basis to school. They start with training and then they have additional training every year, and I think they should get a bonus, but it's a very small amount of money compared to what it would cost. I think it would be very effective. But when the press covered it, the headline was, Trump wants all teachers to have guns. Trump wants teachers to have guns. I don't want teachers to have guns. I want highly trained people that have a natural talent, like hitting a baseball or hitting a golf ball or putting. How come some people always make the 4-footer and some people under pressure can't even take their club back, right? Some people can't take their club back. And you don't know what it is. Those words are hard to train for, but you want to have the number of people where people know they're going to be, the bad guy has to understand that there's a big price to pay when they mess around with our students. You can't just say, oh, we're going to, harden our schools. We're going to blow smoke into the rooms. We're going to do all this stuff that is not going to work. You have to let people know that they're going to suffer the ultimate price. And you know what? And I said it before, you're not going to have incidents. They're not going to do it because they're innately cowards.
They're innately cowards. You are such a coward. You would not carry a gun. You would not defend this nation, and you still won't defend this nation from Russian interference in the next election. This is just he is really, really a bad man. I mean, I don't know what else to say except that we are being led by a guy who cannot lead anybody to anything. He couldn't lead a Joe idea to a cool drink of water in a desert. Okay, the man is. He's useless. He's just useless. Nothing he says can be relied upon. He means nothing. He has no morals. He has no principles. He's not even a devout racist, okay? He's just not. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But I just want to tell you that I'm looking at Congress. It's the same old script on gun legislation today. The House has already made very, very clear that we already passed the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, the NICS system. We passed it late last year. So we're not going to do anything on the background check. And that is because the NRA doesn't really, really believe in background checks. Because a real background check would close the gun show loophole. Meaning, if you're not a federal gun dealer and you're a private seller at a gun show, no background check necessary. If you sell guns on the internets, no background check necessary. The NRA likes it like that. They will do nothing to shut that loophole, and they don't want really stringent background checks. Because think about what a background check should actually entail. Yes, it should entail an interview combined with a drug test. How's that? Of course it should. Where's the extreme vetting on this? Well, they're not for extreme vetting. They're not for vetting of any kind. They don't want registered guns. They don't want licensed gun owners. They just want to sit there and use the most, disgusting words about people who suffer from, instead of liver failure or kidney failure, a different organ failure. And no, it's, they should be talking about the failure of that organ that leads a man to want a long, long gun. But that's not even what they're talking about. They're talking about they don't want to check on your brain. They don't want to see what kind of drugs you're on. They just want to say that mentally ill people, and I don't know what they mean by this, are all deranged and diseased. I heard one congressman today calling people who suffer from, some brain, the synapses don't fire proper. It's like you don't make insulin. We call that diabetes. But when your brain doesn't make something, we call you deranged. I've told you before, mentally ill people are more likely to be victims of crime than to commit crime. And this whole idea that we should just, speak in these horrific words about people who suffer from mental illness, but won't do anything at all for them. It's so interesting. But these Southern governors, they're so completely absorbed by mental illness and calling it disease and deranged and horrific and vile and evil. But they don't want to expand Medicaid, which actually provides mental health coverage, which actually provides substance abuse coverage. Okay, they don't want to do that. They only want to drug test people who get an EBT card to get, $125 a month to supplement food purchases while they're working and still can't make it. You should be drug tested, you EBT card, because death by EBT card. Oh, paper cuts, 1,000 of, it's not even paper, plastic cuts, 1,000 of them will kill you, but no drug test for people who want to get an Uzi or an AR or an AK or a handgun or anything. No drug test at all. I mean, it's just so, it's so amazing. What background check are they talking about? What are they talking about? We passed it last year. Really? What's in it? Is there a drug test? Is there a mental health screening? Is there, any sort of a piece of information that might really help determine whether or not this person should have access to machinery that can kill people in 90 seconds? Listen, they're gonna start sitting there going, there were 23 calls to this kid's house. The police, law enforcement, let us. If law enforcement can't stop it, and they can't because this kid did nothing arrestable. How many times do we have to tell you that this is all a distraction from what really needs to be talked about, which is the assault weapon, which is these high capacity, these crazy bullets. No. Mental illness. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.